Hello, and welcome back to Monday All Weekend, all you loyal viewers at home. Thank you for joining us.
They're loyal viewers, yes.
They are loyal viewers, and we're coming at them live
Mhm.
on the online. Isn't it kind of crazy? I know everyone YouTube lives these days because
Yes.
you can do it from your
Mhm.
phone. Okay,
Mhm.
easy, but I feel like no one fully appreciates how wild it is.
Yeah.
Okay, look, in the 90s or early 2000s, people spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for like local airtime.
Yeah.
This is better than airtime. You reach more people,
Mhm. I mean,
potentially.
even technically, I mean, there were like public airtime channels that you could get on for free or pennies,
Sure.
basically. Um,
A lot of radio.
but I mean, on YouTube, you're definitely gonna reach, even if you only reach 10 people, you're probably reaching more people than public access if you were just slated in public access
Right.
for like 30
Mhm.
minutes or
I was
something.
thinking about this today,
Mhm.
actually. So traditional broadcast is like they would say numbers like we reach 2 million homes.
Mm.
And those were the
Mhm.
fascinating numbers. But how many of those 2 million homes actually turned their TV on and went to your
Yeah,
station at the
and
time
watched it.
you were broadcasting? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because these networks share
Not a
shows,
lot.
not a
Yeah. Not a
lot.
lot. It's
But
interesting when I
advertisers
worked
didn't know that. They didn't track that. So you still got all that big advertisement money, right?
when I worked at WBTV, we had there was like 3 counters, I think, or 2 at least. There was, um, people that were that it was 3. It was people who are on the WBTV website, people who
Mhm.
are on the app, and then people who are actually watching us on TV. They had a counter for that, and
Right.
it was not great. Let's just say that.
It was not. Do you remember those numbers at all?
I wanna say
Like, especially the watching on TV numbers.
I wanna say it went from, like, the early show was, like, a couple hundred to, um, 5,000, and it could have gone up to, like, 10,000. I'm not
Mm.
sure. At, like, good time, I think it was, like, 10,000.
Probably at, like, the
Not
4 o'clock
terrible.
news.
Yeah. But, it was mostly around, like, I think it like, couple thousand
That's
views.
I mean, if you're in one of the biggest stations in the Charlotte area that reaches all the way out to, like, where our parents
Mm.
live.
Mhm.
So, we're talking, like, shoo, like 30, 40 miles from the city.
Mhm. Yeah.
I would say that's pretty, it reaches pretty far, so it can reach a lot of people. But yeah, with YouTube, you know exactly where you stand when you go live, you know what I mean? You know exactly where you stand, and
Mhm.
it's not even 100%, like, because you'd have to do a 24-hour stream to see exactly how many people would tune into you, because you
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
have to catch them at the right time, but YouTube is more truthful, and it's a big wake-up call for a lot of these media companies because they're
Mhm.
like, "Man, like, the numbers just don't translate." Not
Yeah.
because it's because, honestly, a lot of 'em's been operating on fake statistics for a long time.
Mhm.
So, there's that to open up this live. A little bit
We're
of
uh we're
cultural
we're
news.
covering some just a couple quick topics tonight. Opening up first with the Oppenheimer news.
Okay.
The
News.
it's become the biggest biopic of all time, grossing more than the previous winner, which was Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mhm.
So
Which
Oppenheimer is, making some breaking some records.
they are breaking some
Which is
records.
not surprising to me, but also
Mhm.
a little bit surprising, where it's not surprising that Oppenheimer is the biggest, biopic because it was a very good movie, and
Mhm.
I know it was gonna be making a lot of numbers, but also surprising to me that, like, it's making 1,000,000,000, but, like, didn't Elvis didn't even come close? I feel like
Elvis, I
Elvis
think,
was
made
huge.
$288,000,000.
Yeah.
Not a ton. Now, let's say this. So, all right, so Oppenheimer is not even finished with its theatrical release, right? It's still in theaters. It's going to hit, I mean, we're at $912 million. We're
Mhm.
on our way to hitting $1 billion. The Dark Knight is Chris Nolan's highest grossing film, all right?
Mhm.
Gross worldwide, let's see. Gross worldwide, The Dark Knight is 1,006,000,000, okay?
Okay.
So this is getting close to where
Okay.
I mean,
Oppenheimer might
the
surpass
biggest
The Dark Knight and be his biggest film
Mhm.
ever.
Yeah.
It already
and
it's already the biggest biopic. It's the second highest grossing Nolan film. It is probably
Mhm.
gonna be the third highest grossing movie of the year, right?
Yeah.
and
Um,
that's without actors promoting the film because they were on strike during
well,
all this.
actually, they were.
True.
I actually found some YouTube content of a lot of interviews with Killian and the group, and even Robert Downey and
Okay.
them, because I know Robert Downey
Oh,
and Nolan did
that was
a
pre-strike.
yeah, well, they recorded it pre-strike and released it during the strike, right?
Okay.
So, just like they did the movie, they released it during the
Mm.
strike, but they had all this content. Um, I am interested to see where this kind of takes us. Overall, I did want to share this also, it's a it's interesting when we look back at our own content to 1 year ago when we were talking about Oppenheimer, right, on the podcast.
Mm.
We did a video called Chris Nolan's Oppenheimer might be the last film of its time. That's what people a year ago were
Wow.
talking about because they were saying a biopic, like biopics traditionally don't make a lot of money. And actually, we kind of saw that with Elvis. It should have been a huge success,
Mhm.
but it only made 288 million.
Mhm.
Now the budget was 85 million, so they made their money back, but it's still not a blowout success. And they don't traditionally do super well. And so this might have been like they were saying, all right, we're investing in Christopher Nolan because he sells movies,
Mm.
Mhm.
he makes movies that people want to watch. If this doesn't work, they're dead.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's worked.
Well, I don't know that it was a studio that necessarily wanted to make a biopic. I think it was Chris Nolan that wanted to tell this story.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
when he
it is
gets
a little bit
behind
different.
something, yeah, yeah, it is different. When he gets behind something,
Well,
it's
they
like,
they
I
took a
wanna make
chance on
this
the
kind of
movie.
movie.
They
I
took a
wanna make
chance
this sto
because of it's
I
Chris
don't
Nolan.
know. I don't know that yeah, that's what it is. It's Chris Nolan, and if he
Right.
says, "I wanna do a biopic," or "I wanna do a cowboy movie," or "I
Right.
wanna do a superhero movie," I think you kind of
You do it.
you do it.
You do it.
You're probably gonna get a pretty good movie that's gonna sell a lot of tickets. People like Chris Nolan. They like the way that he makes stuff,
Mhm.
and, it's gonna be interesting.
I'm a
So,
fan.
you guys think it's gonna make it to 1,000,000,000, right?
I do. I do
Yeah,
think it's gonna
yeah,
make it
it
to a
will.
billion. And the thing is, like, I don't think IMDb they obviously don't keep track of numbers after the
Mm,
theatrical release, you know? So, a lot of times these IMDb numbers is like, this is the box office.
yeah.
This isn't streaming money. This isn't money that was made on, hard copy sales. This isn't any of that after the fact. So,
Mhm.
so it's definitely gonna as a an LLC, Oppenheimer, the LLC, the movie set up as a business at this point, that's gonna make 1,000,000,000 if it hasn't already. Um,
Yeah.
Um, the interesting thing I think is, what was my thought? I just completely lost it. It's
it's gonna
gone.
make it a bit
Like,
to 1,000,000,000?
no, oh, it was that the most prominent biopic movies that we've seen, up to this point have mostly been about famous musicians. Those are
True,
the ones that make a lot of money that, people seem to enjoy,
right,
there was kind of a trend there for a while of famous musicians, um, biopic movie with, like,
right.
Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody and
Mhm.
Elvis and the Whitney Houston movie. Um, and even
And Bob Marley coming out,
yeah,
One
Bob
Love.
Marley films before that as well, big with, pop singers and rock and roll singers. You don't get as many with, um, just a historic figure like Oppenheimer. I think the other big one was Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
was kind of the
Yeah.
other big sort of biopic movie
Mhm.
that wasn't about a pop culture icon
Would
celebrity.
you
Right, right.
say the Napoleon movie that's coming out, would you say that's a biopic if it's
Th-
talking about
Uh,
Napoleon?
It's
that
probably extremely dramatized. It's probably loosely based on it's
I'm
probably
gonna
following the
say
events of.
I'm gonna say because that happened so long ago, that's
No.
more historic. It's
Yeah.
gonna be more of a historic biopic.
Okay, but it's still a biopic,
It's a
so
biopic, but not like
let's see how that
Oppenheimer's a
does.
biopic.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer's recent history, whereas and it's still
In the past
technically a
100
historic
years history,
biopic,
right.
but Napoleon, they're probably filling in some holes with
Yeah.
fiction and things like that to make it an interesting movie. So it's more of it leans more heavy on the historic part of historic biopic.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of it. I'm proud of this, Oppenheimer movie and
Joseph's
Chris
like,
Nolan. I'm
"Chris
proud of
Nolan,
him.
I'm
Yeah,
proud of you. You
proud
get
of you.
my I'm proud of you, Chris
Congrats.
Nolan."
It may not mean much, doesn't change how I feel about it. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Me being proud may not mean anything to him, but
But
it's still how I
as much
feel.
as we're proud of, and I don't mean to bring up something that's already happened, it's kinda old at this point, but, if you go back to the picture of, what got bigger, Barbie or Oppenheimer? Barbie
Mhm.
made it to $1,000,000,000 first. Barbie made it
Barbie
to
did
$1,000,000,000
make it
first.
to Barbie's still making money.
Yeah.
So, I would say Barbie won the boxing match.
Barbie won the box office, like, no issues.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm still I'm still kinda of the opinion that as far as, um, impact goes in the film industry, well, maybe not even in the film industry, just impact amongst the viewers. I still
Mhm.
think Oppenheimer is probably gonna leave a bigger mark as
Look,
time goes
Oppenheimer
Oh,
has
I
on
staying
agree.
power.
in
It's what
30
we've
years.
said.
I do think that Barbie is gonna it's gonna be a big hit it's gonna affect the industry quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um, but I think in people's minds, Oppenheimer is going to last much longer.
Yeah.
probably.
But we've talked about this extensively.
Yeah.
I wanna kinda go to our next topic.
Hold
I
on.
don't mean to rush it, but
Hold on. Before we go, if you're watching, go ahead and leave comments in the
Mm,
chat. We want to interact with you throughout this live stream. So if you're
yeah.
here with us, share your thoughts. Don't be shy.
Mhm.
We'll interact with you as
Mhm.
well as talk through our topics. Um, so we got Deadpool 3 news. All right.
Yes.
So it looks like there's some rumors. Now, when Joshua sent this to me, I was like, "Are you for real? Is this real?" It looks like people
Mhm.
talking about it. Deadpool 3 rumors tease how Daniel Radcliffe can finally play Wolverine. Now, this has been it kind of like, I don't know. I don't mean to be crass either, but certain fans' wet dream is to see Daniel
Yeah,
Radcliffe
there's
as
been a lot of
Wolverine.
fan
Yeah.
casting for quite a few years.
Yes. And it
But
looks like this might have the opportunity, but really it's just because he's strong in this one role he did, right? He's got
Mhm.
muscles.
Mhm.
Is that
well,
correct? Is that what the rumors?
no, no, no. So he will be in to kind of explain it to people. He is going to be in Deadpool 3. And we already know because of advertisements, because of Hugh Jackman announcing it and stuff. Hugh Jackman is reprising his role as
Mhm.
Wolverine in Deadpool 3. So it's going to be very heavy with, you know, Deadpool, Wolverine, and what people are predicting. Daniel Radcliffe is supposed to be involved, or he will be in the film.
I don't
What
see him on
character we don't.
IMDb as being
I
in the film.
I don't know
Well,
why people are say he will be in it though, is what
Yeah,
people
yeah,
are
yeah.
saying.
What I kind of predict is sort of kind of what uh you know Multiverse of Madness and The Flash did, of having like an alternate version, seeing some alternate version
Yeah, giving
Wolverines
us,
and Deadpools.
um,
Um, there was
as
a
as Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I don't know that Deadpool is going to be jumping through the multiverse as much as they could be playing with some uh alternate versions of these characters because Deadpool is so heavy into that in the comics.
Right.
I saw an animation, I think it was for an ad, but I'm not sure. But it was just an animation of Ghost Rider fighting Deadpool, and they were glitching between different versions of the characters.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
wouldn't be surprised to see something like that happen, where there's an object that they've got a hold of, where if you touch it, you switch between the different
Interesting.
versions.
Yeah,
Um, I wouldn't be
I w
surprised to see like Daniel Radcliffe show up for 3 seconds
yeah, as
and then be
Wolverine.
gone. Yeah.
Which I as much as we've seen this already with Spider-Man, with
Mhm.
The Flash now, and I don't want them to just do the same thing over again. It
Mhm.
makes sense with Deadpool because he has always been this social commentary of what the fans want, basically.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what Deadpool's character is. And so
Mhm.
it would be just right up there and be on brand for Deadpool for Ryan to just kind of acknowledge that this is what people are wanting. And they throw
Yeah.
Right.
it in there for just a second.
And
And
the thing
so,
is to throw it in there, this is like the only movie that could make that work, to literally just throw it in there to throw it in there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
mhm,
Let's see. I got a comment here. Hollywood keeps using the multiverse to change actors for characters and to attempt to bring older movie fans into the new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lily
that's
Anna.
not wrong. Also to bring people like this is one of those fan theory things. They want to bring those people in. People who
Right.
have been like, here's something we want, make it happen.
yeah. And
Yeah,
even
and
if they can't get a whole film, they'll give it to us for 5 minutes.
and
And let me ask you this. Did you
Mhm.
like that, what we got in like Madness, Multiverse of Madness with John Krasinski? Did we like that? Because I
the
felt
like
cheap.
I feel like it's a good testing ground. I like seeing Krasinski in the suit. I like seeing
Yeah.
him play Mr. Fantastic. If that's like a test run, I think fans like it, and they want to see it. But that was the first appearance of Mr. Fantastic in a long time
Right.
since what, Miles Teller?
Yeah. Which
Yes.
didn't
Yeah.
really pop off, did
It
it?
didn't pop off for people, but it's been a while since we've seen him.
Yeah.
People want I don't 100% support using multiverse to cast characters. I think it's kind of throwaway.
It's
Um,
cheap. It's cheap.
it's cheap. Almost a way to get to be like, here, all right, we did the fan service. Now let's move on,
Right.
I mean,
right?
it's about as equivalent as, like, you're trying to make a grilled cheese sandwich and you want that nice cheddar, but you put that, like, that sandwich cheese on it, and it's good.
Hey,
It's
I
good.
Nothing
like
wrong with an
sandwich cheese.
American single.
Uh,
American single is cheap, it tastes good, but it might give you a tummy ache.
it looks nice.
It's got that
Yeah.
bright yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is like what they did in Spider-Verse.
Right.
They brought Donald Glover in to play Prowler as a live action in the movie. And I think it works better if we know that for sure we're not getting him as a live action Prowler,
Right. Right.
right?
Mhm.
But it's cool that we would get to see him mentioned. We get to see him
Yeah.
in the role, even though we are probably never going to get him as the live action. I'm, kind of cool with that. Let's see, what's Lillian
Let's
saying?
see.
They have overused superheroes. I'm not into any of the new hero movies coming out. Hey, not a lot of
I
people
hear
are.
that.
We've not been shy about talking about this.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
the
curious
community's
about
not behind
Deadpool,
it.
but that's about it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, Deadpool's a little different where he almost
well, it's
plays
there to make fun.
this.
It's there to
Mhm.
Yeah.
make fun, you know?
And that's fun. But like Aquaman, you know,
And I
The Flash.
honestly, our channel hasn't been a good testing ground between our reaction and our podcast
Mhm.
where we talked about Aquaman and didn't get as many views or comments or people reacting to it. So it's like still don't really know even in our pool of
Yeah.
viewers how people feel about Aquaman 2. We
Yeah.
shared how, the data that we have at this point. We shared our own opinions. And I guess people are so disinterested, they're not even putting up a fight for Aquaman in the
Mhm.
comment section of
Mm-mm.
our videos.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting that nobody, even the hardcore fans, have kind of disconnected from the superheroes. And we've said it before, it's like the cowboy era. I think the superhero era is
Yeah.
kind of ending.
right.
It's coming to an end.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and talk about, because we have another interesting movie that's come out though.
Mm.
A Haunting in Venice. Movie
Yeah.
3. Movie 3 of the first one
Poirot.
was what was the first one?
What was it, Josh?
Don't play this game.
I want to know.
Say it.
Murder on the Express.
Orient.
Orient.
The
Yeah,
Orient.
Murder on
Express.
the Express.
All right, look, you're okay. Keep going. Yeah, and then we had Death on the Nile. Now
Yeah.
we got Haunting in Venice.
Yeah, Death on the Nile kind of fell flat for a lot of people. But Haunting in Venice, I think, is kind of
We did a movie review for
caught some interest.
Death on the Nile when
Mm.
it came out. And it was okay, but it was kind of boring a little bit, I will admit.
Mhm.
But I am really looking forward to this movie. I have not seen it yet as of this recording, but I intend to, watch it somehow.
So let's take
Mm.
a look at the opening weekend for Haunting in Venice. According to IMDb, for US and Canada, 14 million. Not
Mhm.
crazy. I mean, that's definitely slowed down because
Yeah.
of the summer has come to a close, the big
Mm-hmm.
go back to theaters for the summer craze. But worldwide, it's got 37 million, almost 38 million for opening
Yeah.
weekend. That's considered decent. I mean, the budget doesn't say here, but I'm assuming the budget's
Mhm.
probably somewhere in the realm of maybe 40 million, maybe.
You
You know what I
think? I
mean?
think it's a little higher than that.
I
A
think
little
I think
higher.
probably what they made this weekend might be close. I mean, it might be a little higher, but they also use a good bit of animation, and this is more of a horror film, and horror is traditionally easier to make production-wise, because
But
really
there
horror is just camera angles, and lighting, and then good editing, you know what I mean?
there is a lot of big name actors in it. Like, scroll up
Mhm.
to the cast because there's a lot of familiar names in the cast list.
Alright,
Like,
they got Tina Fey, what is it? Jamie Dornan. Obviously, we have the returning, how do you say
yeah,
it? Poirot?
Uh,
Poirot
Hercule Poirot,
and
Poirot.
Michelle Yeoh.
played
Yeah,
by Kenneth Branagh
yeah,
or Branagh.
and we have, so I don't think she's huge yet, but you got Kelly, Riley,
Mhm.
who's on one of the best shows, freaking
Mhm.
Yellowstone, man. So
Okay.
good.
And there is a definite difference between this movie's Rotten Tomatoes score and Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile is kind of in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
This one's in the 70s
Alright,
Yeah,
for
let
go
me
audience.
to it. I'm curious.
77, 76.
I'll go to it, but you gotta let my fingers have their day in the sun.
Mm,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Interesting.
I'm trying to fly through this Googling and
Mhm.
see, Death on Nile. Okay, yeah, so we got let's share this tab. Alright, here we go, I'm ready now. So Death on the Nile, an audience score of 82, that's pretty good.
Well, the
Um,
general audience is, I think, 69.
all audiences, yeah.
All
Yeah.
audience, yeah.
69.
And so we're hitting 60s to 80s, all right?
Mhm.
Roughly. And that honestly, like, probably 70s to high 60s is how I felt about the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I felt less. I felt like 50s for
Right.
that one. Personally, 55.
So if we go Haunting in Venice, at first glance, it
Yeah,
looks
we're sitting in
75.
70s.
at all for
Yeah,
all audience
75,
right now,
76.
we're
Lot
sitting a little
less
higher.
lot less audience members
Mhm.
at the moment than the previous movie, but we're, sitting pretty in the 70s.
I
Here's
mean,
my question. Hold on. Here's a thought I had, because when I watched Death on the Nile, I finished the movie before I realized Murder on the Orient Express was a follow-up to it,
follow
right?
up
Oh,
to it.
yeah?
I watched the movie first. So I'm wondering is how many horror fans have
Mm.
watched this movie without seeing either of the other two films?
I wonder I would hope that you can watch this one without seeing the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
2.
I'm just saying,
Murder
like,
mysteries.
they might go into it being a fan of, I don't know, The Nun 2,
Yeah.
and this is nothing like that,
Well,
you
Agatha
know?
Christie's, stories of Poirot were kind of it was the old style of individual cases,
Yeah.
where people could watch individual cases and not need to know the extent of what the character had done to enjoy the character, and I think that's fun.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, it's definitely fun. I think this movie's gonna be a delight to
Mm.
watch and try to figure out where the haunting's coming
And
from or whom the
I've
haunting is coming
I've
from.
already heard some behind the scenes where, Kenneth was, um, scaring his co-stars, like,
Oh, really?
yeah, doing some practical jokes and scaring
That's fun.
people.
I
Yeah.
always
Yeah, that
enjoy a good
sounds fun.
practical effect or a good practical joke. I also enjoy a good practical effect. But but a good practical joke is good.
Mm,
But overall, I mean, we haven't seen the movie yet. When we do watch it, we'll be sure to talk about it, I'm sure, on the podcast.
yeah.
Before we go, though, and I don't wanna cut anything short, so I'd like to ask you guys, are you okay if I bring up a unplanned topic?
No.
Okay.
Okay, you got a yes and a no.
I'm skeptical.
Have you guys seen the most recent Ahsoka episode?
I haven't, no.
No, no. I need to catch up. I'm 2
I
weeks
have
behind.
heard I have heard some things. I have seen some things.
Alright.
Um,
There's a lot I have there I really wish you guys had watched it, okay,
Well, you
because
mm,
should have told us to prepare.
well, I wasn't thinking about it until we were on the live, and I'm
Mm,
saying there's a lot that we could discuss there, and it's almost like I don't wanna wait for the podcast because then we're way too late.
yeah.
Um, I'd like to share my non-spoiler thoughts, if that's
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
and if anyone's watching and you've seen, Ahsoka and you've seen the most recent episode, I'd love to hear your
Is
thoughts.
this is not a spoiler well, it kind of is. I
It's
haven't
not
seen it, so
spoiler.
I
Look, we're
is
almost a week.
Anakin in it? Is Anakin in
Yes,
it?
yes.
Okay.
He was in the
So,
last one at
yes,
the end.
I did see a poster where, what's the actor's name that plays Anakin? Uh,
Freaking his name is escaping me. Jordan? No.
No,
Uh,
it's, well, now I'm losing it.
well, I did see a poster where he was dressed up in all of the Anakin stuff, and so I'm like, "Oh, he's gonna be in this episode. That's interesting. I would like to tune in
well, he
for
was at
that."
the end of
Hayden
the previous
Christensen.
episode. Hayden Christensen,
Hey,
yeah.
yes, Hayden.
So with that, my overall thoughts is interesting, but
Mhm.
don't feel like I was confused. And this goes
Yeah.
back to kind of what I've heard people saying. This show, all right,
Mhm,
this specific season, Ahsoka, is going to be very confusing for not the diehards, or
Mhm.
because this is
mhm.
Dave Filoni giving freedom to build on a character and a storyline that he crafted from Clone Wars and Rebels, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a solid background in that, you're kind
Mhm.
of confused about the character's intentions, about the
Motivations.
character's motivations.
Yeah.
So there's this whole, and I sort of understand. Like I got the highlights of what happened. I know there was a large duel between Ahsoka and Darth Vader, right?
Mhm.
In the animated series.
Clone
I
Wars.
know there's contention there, and this plays into that, where literally she observes. It's almost like Anakin's persona, like her memory of him, is teaching her lessons in different ways.
Mhm.
One as her master, one as
A
I
lover?
think I think no, not as a
Oh,
lover.
or that's,
Um, Almost like that moody version of him right before he turned to the dark side, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
okay.
And then one when he was turning to the dark side. Red
Yeah.
eyes and all,
Ah,
okay? and there's multiple duels in this movie, in this episode. I will say the fun thing about it is we got to see Hayden Christensen, okay,
Mhm.
with his quick, well-planned choreography moves that we saw in the 3rd movie with Obi-Wan
That's
Kenobi.
cool.
That
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like the quick fighting, the fun
Yeah.
fighting, and you saw
Did we get
and
a
I
I
almost got
hate you?
nostalgic just seeing.
hate you.
No, we didn't get that. I almost got nostalgic just seeing Hayden going at it in
Yeah.
that. I was like, "Oh, this looks like the prequels," you know?
Mhm.
So you're basically teasing saying people need to go and watch it.
I think out of all the episodes that's been released for Ahsoka so far, this is the most enjoyable.
But you have
Um,
to watch the rest
but
of
it
them
will
to get
confuse you.
this
It will
episode.
confuse you unless you've seen all of the like, you have a good understanding of
Yeah.
what's
Of
going on, and because even just with the relationship with Anakin mixed with why is Ahsoka in this weird headspace randomly, and
Mhm.
a part of it is because of Sabine, a part of it is because of this possibility that Ezra's still alive. There's a lot of layers to this that puts her
Yeah.
in this weird headspace for this episode that you don't fully understand, but you kind of have to figure out because they don't. I like that they don't lay it out for you, but it also is just confusing.
Mhm.
So I don't
I
know.
don't
I'd love to hear your thoughts once you actually watch this, but I'm
Yeah.
disappointed that you guys are slow on the trigger, especially when you know this is going to be a big episode.
Yeah, I'll definitely I'll catch up. I'll watch it and then we'll talk about it. I don't want to go off topic real quick, but I am. When you said what's happening to Ezra, I was like, is Ezra Miller at it again? Is he choking people out? He's
Wrong
ruined
Ezra.
it for
Wrong
every Ezra
Ezra.
out there.
Dang.
He has.
Unfortunate.
It's like leave Ezra in that distant galaxy. We don't need him here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm interested. It was an episode that got me interested to keep watching.
Mm.
Okay.
And there was these really cool moments where, I mean, there was literally scenes where she was having flashbacks and interacting with Anakin in the middle of the Clone Wars.
Mm.
We saw actual clones and these guys fighting, and it was cool because it was a lot of people were probably really enjoying it because it's like, dang, this is a live action scene right out of the Clone Wars. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Clone Wars, yeah.
So seeing part of that come to life was really cool, and I'm sure for some people. And then there was this, it was like some planet where there's like storm or lightning or something.
Mm.
So there was this one moment where she saw like the distant figure of Anakin, and lightning would strike, and for a split second you'd see the silhouette of Darth Vader. Super
Yeah.
cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
Just a lot of cool moments in the episode. The general, what's her name? The green
Syndulla.
Syndulla with her
Mhm.
son. Don't get that. I'm not understanding this dynamic. I'm not understanding that whole bit with her being a general and trying to get permission from
Mhm.
the committee or whoever they are
Yeah.
to let her do things. I'm not understanding this dynamic, but whatever. It is what it is. I guess they have to give her character something to do in this season. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of all we had for this podcast with a little extra treat
Podcast,
at the
huh?
end. Podcast, sorry, live
It's
show.
it's a live podcast.
It
It's a
kind of
mini.
is.
That's what we
Um,
do. We're sitting in front of microphones. We're talking about things. This is the same format as that we do with the podcast.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching this live show. We appreciate you coming in, and those
Yeah.
of you who stick around, and those of you who are watching the playback. Thank you guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments. Let's have a discussion, and we'll see you guys next time.